You're listening to iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to radio. iLiveUK.
Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Talks honest. Hello and welcome to Talks Honest. You are tuned into iLiveUK, changing the way you listen to radio. I'm your host, Miss Law, and joining me on today's show will be Miss Mode. This is a talk platform, an opportunity for you to express yourself and discuss topics never spoken of but often thought of. You can connect with us by contacting us on 0208 638 8503 or www.iliveradio.com/iLive-UK. Please come and get involved in our discussions.
What if we spoke honestly? What if we spoke honestly? What if we spoke honestly?
Hello, today's topic is emotional intelligence. My special guest today is Mrs. Jacqueline A. Hinds. And she has a string of titles behind her. So we're going to introduce Mrs. Jacqueline Hinds today.
Thank you, Miss.
It's a pleasure. Now, your name has letters after letter after letter. Elaborate on all these letters.
Well, I'm an emotional intelligence coach and leadership consultant. The letters after my name are the journey that I've taken along my career pathway. So I've got a master's in human resource management. There's CEIC, which is a certified emotional intelligence coach, and MCIPD, which is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development. My background really is human resource development. That's my specialism. So people are my passion.
Okay, so we're going to take you on a journey, on Jacqueline's journey, and how she has got from where she started to where she is today. So she's just giving you a little insight as to what she's done to get to this point, and now she's going to just elaborate more on where she's going, how she's going to go about it. But she's just going to give us a bit of an insight on emotional intelligence, the coaching side of things, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to put this over to you now, Jacqueline.
Okay, so thank you for that, Miss Law. Yes, my journey has been one of highs, lows, and downright, depressions. Everyone gets depressed, but, you get to rock bottom and you've got no alternative but to go up.
Indeed.
And as a HRD or human resource development specialist, part of my journey has been working with other people.
Okay.
So where we think about things that happen in the workplace, we think about how people are developed. When we're going through things like bullying and harassment, my role, I've had to put my feelings aside and support other people along their journey.
Okay.
So it's been quite cathartic. Emotional intelligence is in everything that we do.
Okay.
And I've been doing it really for about 30 years, but didn't realize it.
Can I just ask you a question? For those people who don't understand what emotional intelligence is, can you kind of break that right down for them?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Emotional intelligence is a set of emotional and social skills that help us all to perceive and express ourselves, to develop and maintain relationships, to cope with challenges, also to use emotional information in an effective and meaningful way.
Okay.
So if I was to sort of like dumb it down a bit, and I use the word
simplify it.
Yeah, just simplify it. I use it loosely. It's about being smart about your emotions, but also having your emotions work for you, not against you.
Okay.
So if we think about our emotions, everything drives our emotions from the time we get up in the morning and that. But if you put that in a different context where people press your buttons, and you think, right, okay,
Get
when
a
you
reaction.
yes, they get a reaction.
Yeah.
So, I can liken, my story in the journey to empowerment around the angry black woman.
Okay.
She doesn't exist,
No.
but she does
She
when
has
somebody,
feelings.
that's it. She has feelings and emotions, but she will come forth with them, and it could be deemed as the angry black woman.
Yeah.
But with emotional intelligence, it's understanding other people. You understand yourself first,
Yes.
and then you can understand other people and their motives, their emotions behind a situation.
100%.
Yeah. So it is quite deep, and I actually partner it up with cultural intelligence.
Okay.
So I run workshops on emotional and cultural intelligence.
Okay.
And as part of it, I take individuals through an emotional intelligence skills assessment profile as part of the program.
So, as you just said that you do some sessions, where do you actually hold these sessions?
Well, I haven't got my own sort of like
No.
building. So I normally will do open programs
Okay.
and do Eventbrite, and I will run it. More than likely, I've been running it sort of like at the Holiday Inn at Westfield, because it's quite central.
Excellent.
It's
Okay.
a nice space. They provide a good service, and it's easy for people to get to.
And in the event that anyone would be interested in going to one of these seminars or events, how do they actually obtain that information?
Well, I'm due to sort of like post out on LinkedIn and on Eventbrite my dates for the next workshop in 2020.
Okay.
But also, if people are interested, they can find out about it on my website as well.
And what's your website?
My website is www.wilsonhindsconsulting.com. So it's WILSONHINDS consulting.com.
Okay, great stuff. So if you can just continue with your discussion about the emotional intelligence. Obviously, it's broken down. So the awareness is there, or maybe not be there, and sometimes people don't understand what is happening to them.
Yeah.
So how would you say people would identify? Because a lot of people, for example, working in an office, they're spoken to in a certain way, but they don't actually see that as anything but other than your manager just being a bit stern with you.
Yeah.
So can you just break that down a little so people can just get a grip or understanding of how the possibility of, because it falls under bullying and a number of different aspects.
Yes, it is. And, one of the key things that actually goes with my book, Journey to Empowerment, Tackling the Bullies Within, is an emotional resilience in the workplace workshop.
Okay.
And there they get to actually understand emotional intelligence in its context, in its true context, but also they get to do the assessment for themselves. So they get to see themselves and where they fit on the EQ spectrum. So EQ is the measurement of their emotional intelligence, and they get to understand. So I break it down into a point where everybody will walk away with information and get to understand emotional intelligence from their standpoint, and it gets them to reflect on certain situations that may have happened in the past or recently, where had they known what they know now, they would probably approach it differently. So it's the awareness. So I can say that it's broken down into 4 sections.
Okay.
So self-awareness is one of the things. Self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So at the heart of that is emotional intelligence. So when individuals are looking at themselves, they could be thinking, oh, right, I got on really well with my workmates, and we've had a restructure in the organization. There's been a new role that manages a team, and everybody's thrown their hats into the ring. I was successful after the awareness, because sometimes you sort of think, well, you can still be the same friendly in that. And it changes. The dynamics changes.
Indeed.
So individuals will be wondering, why has it changed? Not realizing that the person that was their friend when they were on the same platform, that was okay. But they're elevated. There is an emotion, and it's jealousy. And, the way how they treat the individual will be like, well, you're not one of us now. So it will impact the person, but they may not realize it's because of that.
Yeah.
So when you tap into your emotional intelligence, you can actually understand and see things from another person's perspective and walk in their shoes.
Right.
And I always use the term of goldfish bowl. I'm always in goldfish bowl mode.
Okay.
And because I train and coach people, and I go into organizations where they say, oh, I need some training. This is what's happening. I will go in and I'll talk to key people, get to find out what's going underneath the duvet, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then when
identify where the issues are.
Absolutely. And then once I've actually formulated, I can do an outline of the right kind of training that will help individuals at different levels within their organization, whether they're most junior, middle management or senior, and then work with them using their own sort of tools and resources. So it could be that it's a system, it could be their language, it could be certain things that are happening where it's changing. So I weave that into the training along with the emotional and cultural intelligence, so they get a holistic blend of training and development for themselves. So they walk away with a lot more than what they walk in the door. Definitely.
So really you're educating people how to deal with circumstances, emotions, and just understanding themselves and how they deal with issues or things that come into their life, so to speak.
Absolutely. And it's a predictor in life.
Yeah.
So whether your work, home, social, even in your church setting, if you're a Christian, all of these things, it's in everything that we do.
Anywhere you go, you're
every aspect.
100%,
And it is, once the awareness has been heightened, and I work with leaders as well. So I've got a EQ leadership program, and it's a coaching program for leaders. So they get a report that actually gives them their EQ profile as a leader.
Okay.
And I've run the program, and what I do is a 1-day overview where I break down the model, which is different to the other paper-based, because there's one paper-based and there's one that I'm the certified coach for. Right. So this one is it's a more high profile and larger model. So when individuals go through it, they have to do the assessment 2 weeks before I do the training with them.
Tell me something. You're spoken to a manager and you've done the EQ assessment. How are they received? Because obviously with a management role, you feel that you know everything, don't you?
Yes.
So, and you feel that you're managing well.
Yeah.
But you don't identify there's a breakdown with your staff, communication, when you say something sometimes not received well, but you feel you're managing well.
Yes.
How do they, just give me an example of one maybe where you felt, oh my gosh, this person really isn't managing well.
Yeah. Well, I did, like, as I said, I did the training, and when I do the 1 day, all of them are there. So I do a maximum of 6 because I have to give group feedback and around the assessments, and they get their individual reports, which is just for them.
Yes.
And at the end of that day, I then get a date where I have one-to-one feedback. Okay. So I feed back to the individual, not as a group, but individuals on their actual report and their profile. And I did do a feedback session with somebody who saw themselves as a leader, and they are a leader, but they've got their blind spots. So if you think of Johari's window, we all do. There are elements about ourselves that, other people see, but we don't actually see. So it's good to get constructive feedback, regularly, so that you can sharpen and hone yourself. Well, this individual, when they actually had the one-to-one with me, they were upset, and they said, well, I'm really low on these things and I should be over here. And I said, but you completed the assessment. I said, what I can do is I can highlight the areas where, and it's things like lack of empathy, low on empathy, low on interpersonal skills, social responsibility, decision making, stress tolerance. So when you look at it as a leader and they see there's low things there, it's not the end of the world, but you've got to recognize and accept that this is me, this is where I'm at. So what I tend to do is I tend to ask them what's going on in the working environment. And more often than not, there's changes or something's happened that actually causes them to respond when they do the assessment in a certain way.
So you can do that assessment on someone a week later, and there might be different dynamics within the office, and it could give a completely different.
Absolutely.
So
it's they have to remember that at the time, and I only know that, and I use it because it is true.
Yeah.
When I actually got accredited in Myers-Briggs, we were going through a structure in the organisation that I was in at the time, and I was really disgruntled because things were happening. And they said, "Oh, you can go on this course," after I'd been asking to go on it for 2 years. And I'm thinking, okay, fine, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I did the assessment and sent it in, but I didn't actually attend the training for about another 5 weeks.
Okay.
So when I actually got to the training, we got our reports for, and this is to do with your preferences.
Yes.
And gentlemen gave everybody their reports and the actual scale
breakdown.
the breakdown where we were. And I looked at it, I thought, that's not me.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, that's not me. And he said, look, can we talk about it afterwards? And I said, yes, no problem. So he sort of said, what was going on, Jacqueline?
At that time.
At the time, he said, when you actually did this assessment, what was going on? And I sort of thought back, I thought, well, yeah. And I started to outline exactly what, and he said, how and where you were at that time and what you were feeling is reflected in your report. So what he did was he allowed me to do it again.
Yeah.
Totally different.
That's quite amazing, because we don't actually understand what frame of mind we're in on a day-to-day basis. We just plod along, just thinking we're having a bad day, so to speak.
Yeah.
But a lot of things are affecting us.
Yes.
And we're reacting to those things subconsciously.
Absolutely.
And not even identifying.
Not aware of what is affecting you. And people project. So if you think about a leader, and I can talk about this as a change agent. I've worked in the NHS for nearly 10 years in only 2 trusts, but they're 2 of the largest trusts in UK and Europe. Okay. So Imperial College Healthcare and Barts Health. Okay. So one was 10,000 staff, the other one was 15,000. So when you look at the dynamics and things that are happening, and
so much is happening,
and you don't realize it's affecting people in a way, because on the surface it's like this, but if you think about the iceberg, it's what's underneath the surface, how far down it goes and how wide it is.
That's right.
So and from there, when I do development, I say to individuals, I'd like your response.
Yeah.
It's what you put in, you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
And understand that where you are now, it doesn't mean that you have to be there forever.
Yeah.
It's just a time and space.
Yeah.
When you understand that, and that's why I do the coaching after I do the training.
Yeah.
Because the coaching is important, because it's on an individual basis. Then I work with the individual on the gaps.
Yes.
So work to align the gaps with the other competencies that are higher to bring it in alignment. And it works. Yeah. It works. And I enjoy it.
It seems that way.
I really do.
So tell me, how did you go from doing what you were doing before to doing what you do now?
Right. Okay. That's part of the journey. And anybody that's interested, it's all in the book, Journey to Empowerment.
Okay. And where can we obtain that book?
You can get it on my website, www.wilsonhindsconsulting.com.
Okay.
It's available on Amazon, but you're going to have to wait a while.
Okay.
But your best bet, if you want it next day,
from the website.
From the website, and it's available. I've got copies there ready to be packaged up and sent out.
Ready and waiting for you.
Absolutely. So my journey starts off. I started off as a copy typist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I started off as a copy typist, and I learned to type when I was 10 years old.
Amazing.
Absolutely hated it at the time, but my mum gave me a gift that would never, never tarnish, get old, but something that I can, rely on time and time again. And that's helped me. Yeah. So I left school at 16 with hardly any qualifications. And that's in the book as well, because I start with the schoolyard. So it starts from school, and the decisions that you make, actually, you think later on, wow, What if I'd stayed on? I don't think about that. I don't regret
you can't.
This is part of my journey.
You've come a long way.
I've come a long way, and I've done a lot of things.
You've done a lot of things.
I've done a lot of things, and I'm grateful for it and thankful. But yeah, I started off as a copy typist and left school at 16, went into my first job. And I grew up in Bedfordshire, so I was born in Bedford.
Okay.
And came to London when I was 21. But whilst there, after I actually left school, I wanted to get a typing job. There weren't any. So I did a year in archaeology. I did archaeology for a year. Fantastic. Loved it. And I think that is a passion of mine. And, you know, in our family, we like to watch, you know, Egyptian documentaries and things like that. And it's fascinating. Yeah. But I really wanted to get back into it. So I got a job in a bank and came to London because there were no jobs in my hometown.
Okay.
And I joined as a copy typist, and I've always been in a role where I've helped people. So whether it's to do with the systems that I was working on, I had a natural aptitude for technology. Okay. So when the other secretaries were kind of finding it hard to do things, I'd play about with the system, and then I'd either do it over the phone or run little, you know,
you had those skills indoctored in you. They were just waiting to break out.
They were there all the time.
Waiting to break out.
But, you know, along the way, how you feel that you're progressing and where somebody else wants you to go is always, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And at the time we were running in the bank it was like an X Factor type program, where all these people from all over the country were coming to London to train as tutors in this banking training environment, and I was administering on the course. And saw all these people coming in, and you know, you look at what they're doing and how they're developed, and I think, I can do that. I've already got the skills. Yeah. So me, with my bright self, went and knocked the door of the director who was managing the program's door, and I said, "Can I talk to you?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And I said to him, "I would love to be considered for this program because I know that I've got the skills."
Excellent.
And he just looked at me. And he said, "Don't be silly, go and do the typing." And it knocked my confidence. For 3 years.
Oh my God.
It knocked my confidence. And as a result, it was almost like, because what I could liken the training centre where I worked to was a mini version of Coronation Street. So, you know, that little incident you know, it went round like wildfire, and it's like, oh, who does she think she is? Oh, wow. So when you look back on it,
because you wanted to progress,
absolutely. I was the only black.
Yeah. I figured that was,
you know, secretary, you know, with the capabilities. But in all my jobs, when I look back, I've always been the only black person doing what I do.
Because it's rare to find our type doing those type of roles.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah. So as part of that, I actually got approached by the audiovisual technician who did the banking videos. And he, you know, first thing he said to me was, "I'm really sorry to hear about what happened." And I'm thinking, why are you apologizing? It wasn't you.
Yeah.
But he gave me an insight and an opportunity that is invaluable. He just asked me, he said, "Have you ever done desktop publishing?" And I went, "No." He said, "Would you like to?" And I went, "Yeah." Didn't know what it was. Yeah. So he inducted me into being creative, how to design and do things. And for 3 months, I didn't say a thing to anyone. Yeah. And he would, in his studio, it was like an Aladdin's cave. It had everything in there, everything creative, a plotter, all of these things. And he showed me what to do. Yeah. And he wasn't even in the office sometimes. He would leave it on the latch and say, "When you leave, just flick it so that the door's shut." Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. And that gave me that respite from the hurt that I was feeling. Yeah.
And eased that away.
Yeah, I eased it away. And after that, he said, "You're ready to look for another job." So as I progressed, I sort of like grew in confidence, but I managed to leave the training centre and get another job and actually develop and grow. But it's really funny because you come full circle. Yeah. Because years later, I came back to the training centre, the same training centre in a different capacity, and the same course that was denied me, I was actually offered it to do it, and I did it fast track. Wow. So when I left after 13 years, I was a qualified trainer.
So technically speaking, even though it was a stumbling block for you, it actually set the way for you because it made you wake up and realise, okay, someone's blocking me.
Yeah.
I need to do something.
Yeah.
And you went away.
And you'll find that there's going to be loads of little blockages along the way. And I suppose in a sense, that's why I can do so much that I can do.
Yeah.
Because where somebody says, no, I don't want you to do that, I go, okay. And I'll look and think, right, I'm going to do something else. Go away and do it. Still have my eye on that and then come back. So I suppose when I was actually looking for work, I could class myself as a tri-dimensional trainer, because not only do I design and deliver training, I do it in IT and systems as well. So I trained as an IT trainer and as a systems trainer. So I've got a cornucopia of skills, and it's not me being boastful. It's just...
No, but you have them. So
I have them,
have
and
to
I
be
will
boasty
use
about
them.
At the end of the day, you own them.
Yeah, I do.
So, if you don't say you own them, how was anyone to know?
Absolutely. And
claim it.
As I said, if you don't blow your own trumpet, nobody else is going to blow it for you. But the other thing is, for me, it's about sharing my knowledge,
100%.
what I know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take anything away from me.
No. It just enhances you.
Well, it gives them a gift. It gives the other people who haven't got that skill a gift.
Yeah.
So that, throughout my journey, I've always been there supporting
And giving back.
And, the things that I do in the community, that's where I'd like to really make the difference. And I suppose, in a sense, being aligned to the Society of Emotional Intelligence in America, that's where I got trained.
Yes.
The founder and CEO, who's a black man called Dr. Hank Clemens.
Okay.
He is a psychotherapist. He's a hypnotherapist, but he's a master trainer. So he actually trained me, and he's my mentor.
So you've got it all. Got it all,
I've got the grounding, but he's also gifted me of, me being the only person outside of US. Yeah. As the chair and founder really awesome. Over here. So, I'm spreading the gospel.
I'd like to take this opportunity to just take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Nobody left in this world to hold me tight. whisper to kiss goodnight. Good night. And where are you now? Now that I need you. Tears on my pillow. Wherever you go, I cry me a river that leads to your ocean. You'll never see me fall apart. In the words of a broken heart, it's just emotion that's taking me over. Tied up in sorrow, lost in my soul. But if you don't come back, come home to me, darling. You know that there'll be nobody left in this world to hold me tight. Nobody left in this world to kiss goodnight.
Hello, so today's topic is emotional intelligence. My guest today is Mrs. Jacqueline A. Hinds, with all the letters behind her name. She is blessed. My socials are Talks Honest on Facebook, Talks Honest on Instagram, and at Talks Honest Show on Twitter. And Jacqueline's socials are?
It's www.wilsonhindsconsulting.com, and that's my website. And my Twitter account is at Releasing You.
Okay, so we're discussing emotional intelligence. You've taken us on part of your journey. Would you like to continue as you were?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Miss Law. Well, my journey, it has been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And being able to sort of put pen to paper to write my book,
Yes.
Journey to Empowerment, I just realized that along the journey, you have to stop and take that temperature check.
Yeah,
Because only then can you appreciate the things that have happened,
indeed.
the people that you've met,
Yes.
even the people that have tried to hold you back. They've held you back, and everything happens for a reason.
Yes,
Because
indeed.
our feet, our footsteps are ordered.
Yep.
So it could be that we needed that break.
100%.
Yeah. So
I agree there.
So for me, it's about taking it forward to the next step, and working in the healthcare. It provided me with a platform where I got to understand healthcare from all aspects,
Okay.
but also change management, staff engagement,
Yes.
and all the other things that helped individuals,
Right.
but it helped to grow me as well. When things started to sort of like go pear-shaped, and I was a senior manager at that time,
Yeah.
being bullied yourself and still having to put that bullying aside to help other people, that was a big feat.
Yeah. So
Because when you're fractured and you can't think straight, how are you going to support other people? But I was actually in that situation where I would put my feelings aside to support other people. And this was because the organization was transitioning. People were being bullied left, right and center. But in the midst of that, I actually got headhunted.
Oh, wonderful.
I got headhunted by an organization and offered a role in a private women's and children's hospital in the Middle East.
Okay.
So
So you've travelled.
I've travelled, yeah. I worked in the Middle East for a year
Okay.
in a private women's and children's hospital. Left my family behind, but my family were consulted before I accepted it.
Okay.
So I didn't leave my husband and children
So
abandoned.
how did that make you feel? That opportunity, the fact that you were leaving your children, your children, the
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah. Well, when it came to me, I actually remember speaking to my husband and my daughter saying, look, somebody's offered me this. What do you think? And they said, go for it. It's an opportunity. But at the time, I hadn't realized how fractured I was
Okay.
as an individual because I'd gone through a series of bullying. I'd actually submitted it was a paper-based sort of catalogue of all the incidents
that occurred.
The grievance was 91 pages.
Oh my goodness.
And this was over a 6-month period of that time with the individual who was a senior person. And for me, because I was training people to actually document and around bullying and harassment, discrimination, all of that.
Yeah.
It was a bit of like, physician, heal thyself. So when I was actually going through it, everybody knows that it's happening, but nobody would be there. So you could be in a sea of people and you were never more alone than you were then. So I understood. And when people came to me when I was going through what I was going through, what they were feeling, because I was doing it.
Yeah, because you were going through the same thing.
Absolutely. But I didn't want to.
Who feels it knows it, right?
That's it. So for me, it was really cathartic to help them because it helped me. And being able to come out of that and go somewhere, I felt like Alice in Wonderland for a year.
Wow.
But I needed that where nobody could get to me, even though I was in a job and doing it and meeting people of a different culture, different, environment. I needed healing.
Yeah.
So that was my year-long healing journey. And I had to learn to forgive. I learned to put things down, pick things up, learn to focus, reconnect with the one who stops us from falling. And as a woman of faith, for me, he's been my constant friend all the way through. But being able to go there, it gave me insight into my capabilities. And how I can...
It opened you up completely.
Absolutely. And position myself when I came back. So the year long, it wasn't a year's contract, but because the hospital wasn't ready, they focused on a clinical project. And I thought, my children need me. My husband needs me. Let me come back. And the decision before I came back was that I couldn't go back into what I termed as the hamster wheel, working, long hours, rushing to pick my son up from school. So for me, really, it was a case of, how do I position myself? I want to be independent and I want to be there for my son.
Yes.
Because as we know with the black minority ethnic children failing in the schooling environment, I thought, no, I need to be focused and around my son, but it needs to work and it needs to have that work-life balance. So when I came back, I decided I was going to start my own consulting.
Okay.
And I thought, right, I've got loads of things that I can do, but what defines me? What's my unique selling point? And I had to go to America. And get licensed on emotion intelligence.
Right.
And that's when I found who I really was and who I always was. But it was finding that synergy around everything that I'd been doing.
So do you feel that you needed to take that journey to get to where you are today? Or do you feel, had you not been put through certain things, you would have reached this at an earlier time?
No, I think that I had to be broken somewhat to heal. And, as I say, when you're in the valley, as I told one person when I sort of like laugh and talk, and I'm excited about what I do. And, forgiveness is key. It doesn't come easy. And you forgive people not because they deserve it, but because you need to be uncoupled from that emotion in order to...
You need to move on.
Absolutely move on. And when I learned that, then I realized that while I'm in the valley, trials and tribulations, I have to learn to sing. And I sang. Okay, I'm not really Beyonce or anything like that, but I can sing. So I learned to take things
as your release.
Absolutely, and look at it as, what's my lesson in this? Don't get angry. So I use my emotional intelligence quite, widely.
I use it positively.
Absolutely, without even thinking.
Not realizing. But it's just because you've gone through so much, you've learned how to deal with certain things that now you can actually put things into perspective better.
Absolutely. So the journey's taken me quite a way. And, being independent has given me the opportunity to work with others in other industry areas. I've got the HR background, but I'm working within the cybersecurity arena. And I've had people say to me, are you a cybersecurity expert? No. What I do as an emotion intelligence coach and leadership consultant, I work with the experts.
Right.
So, yes, I'm an advisory board member of a company that does a cybersecurity boot camp, because within the cyber arena, there are not many women.
Okay.
So it's a program that it's for men and women. It's called She CISO Exec.
Okay.
And it's encouraging more women to come into cybersecurity.
Right.
So we did a boot camp last year.
So you said just now, being the only woman, or the women are minority. Being a woman of colour, is that a bigger minority?
I would say yes, because the opportunities that our white counterparts get, we are never considered for it. More often than not, we're seen as the fall guy or girl that they come to delve into the knowledge pot. Yeah. But they are the face, and they get the money and they get the recognition. Yeah. So, yes, and it's been a bitter pill to swallow.
Yes.
But we rise, as Maya Angelou says.
Yeah. And I think, would that be the main reason why you have gone independent now?
Yes and no. I think for me, the independence aspect, as I said, I've got quite a lot of skills, and in all the jobs that I've done, it's a case of we want this, but could you put that in a suitcase and put it on the wardrobe? Yeah. Because we don't need it. But I like to keep my skills sharpened and honed.
You have to.
Absolutely. And whilst working in the financial services arena, I found that being an internal consultant gave me those skills. They sharpened it because I would actually go to each of the partners in their respective fields and say, what's keeping you awake at night? And they'd say, well, we need X, Y, Z. So I was able to do bespoke stuff with them, using their tools, their clients, all of that. And it's the same product, but it's being able to target it and tailor it for that environment. So why would I go back into a box, so to speak? I wasn't born in a box. And, more often than not, when empowerment comes into play, when people realize that they have gifts and they could leave anytime they want to develop and grow, not wait for a manager to say right, now it's your turn. Ready, Absolutely. When they realize that, and it's only when they start to feel empowered because somebody actually explains to them, look,
it's about understanding, isn't it?
This is what I see in you.
Because they don't get that from a manager, because the manager's role isn't to enhance them, is it?
No.
It's just to utilize them to do what they need them to do.
Absolutely. And I must correct you on that, though, because as a manager, none of my staff, I kept them. No. And I'm sure my bosses hated me for this, but I'm a real people developer. So I would encourage them, support them to develop their wings and fly.
Even myself, when I was a manager, I did the same. And then if I'm able to do this role, you're able to do this role.
Absolutely.
Because if I leave tomorrow, I expect one of you to take my job, not someone from the outside who knows nothing about our dynamics, nothing about how we've done things. So it's important for me to pass that on to whoever's below me, and not even below me, whoever's working with me.
That's it. So they know what's what. And it is all about growing your own.
Of course,
so
100%.
Being external, I can grow a lot more people than being internal. And for me, that is like, it's
you're just a bird with wings now. You can just do as you.
It's an opportunity to not only induct and spread the EI gospel, but it's also to get people to be more aware of what they can do, what they can't do, and owning their own authority and moving forward. Because it's not until they realize what they're capable of will they do. So it's quite a good gift. And it's even more empowering when somebody realizes their potential after you've done some form of training. I did a lot of career coaching as well, where individuals would say, oh, well, I've only done this. And I said, right, okay. And I would use a little exercise, give them a blank piece of paper and say, this blank piece of paper is here. This pen is magic. Whatever you write on
Work your magic.
Is yours. That's you. So then you start unpicking, what have you done? Little projects. And they start saying, well, I did this, but I said, put it down. So everything that you've done, whether you've helped the mail system to be more effective, it's an achievement. So once they see that and they own it on paper, they start to feel empowered and then move forwards.
100%. Do you feel that a lot of the people that you speak to hold back on what they're able to do?
Yeah, they do. Because sometimes they don't realise what they're capable of. Because we all have that little inner demon, that imposter syndrome. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. You know, or they speak to people, they have an idea and other people knock their confidence without even realising that's what they're doing. They say, well, I fancy being a rocket scientist. And they say, oh, I can't really see you doing that. So
that's one.
It's out of the window.
Yeah.
Or you've got individuals that are doing their job, doing it really well, but they're in the bubble that they're in and they're comfortable there, but they've got potential to actually step outside to do bigger and greater things, but they don't realise it.
Yeah.
So I think my philosophy, and I always say this, is that I can't take your journey for you, but I can keep you company along the way.
Yes.
And that's what I do with my training, my coaching, and how I develop people. I will keep them company because the journey is theirs, but I can sort of be with them.
You'll be by their side.
Absolutely.
So have you got any seminars, talks coming up in the very near future?
Ooh, 2020 is looming fast, and there's quite a few things that are actually going to be happening. And through the Society of Emotional Intelligence, we're going to be hosting a symposium. And it will be the first one in the UK.
Okay.
And what I will be doing is doing a call out for speakers, because I want to do a symposium for the 2020, because we're moving into a different time now.
Yeah.
So the speakers, because I do emotional intelligence, I don't necessarily want them to talk about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I want somebody from the healthcare. I've been doing conferences, and I'll be speaking at a conference next year in London on dementia. So I work with the carers. I've had a joint paper published in a dementia care journal with one of my colleagues, and I've had 2 articles published in a journal. So for me, it's speaking about emotional intelligence around care management, dementia care management, and carers in the community, especially the community. So I'll be doing a symposium where I'm going to invite speakers in from the healthcare arena, from the cyber arena, from other corporate and social.
You're really connecting those dots, aren't you?
Absolutely, because it's in everything. And if we can actually start weaving emotional and cultural intelligence into every industry, there'll be a lot more emotionally intelligent leaders, emotionally intelligent workforces, but also progressive organizations.
100%. You're doing great things.
Thank you.
You obviously enjoy what you do.
Oh, absolutely love it.
I'm here, sat in front of you, and I can just see it just pouring out of you, and it's just like you're smiling. You're just happy doing what you do.
I am very happy, and you know, it's hard work.
Yeah. And nothing's easy in life.
No, it isn't, but it is so rewarding.
Yes.
And my family will tell you, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
No.
I do coaching, Zoom calls. You know, I get people email, are you free for XYZ? And it's like, right, okay. So whilst I was happy having a secretary to do my diary management, I've had to discipline myself and not double book myself to make sure that...
Because you're in demand now.
Yeah. I'd like to think that I could be in more demand.
No, but, you will. You will.
I'm praying that...
Nothing before it's time.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, you take the small steps, and then when it prepares you for the big steps, right?
And I think it's more around coaching, the coaching and developing, so that they then can go back into their arenas to actually do all of that. Because it's almost as if once you see, you can't unsee. And then when you go into your own environment, you start looking at other people and thinking...
You start to analyse things.
And thinking, you need upskilling.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the case,
it's
call me.
Isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So... if you wanted to connect with us, you can contact 0208 638 8503. If you want any more information on Mrs. Hinds, you can connect with me on the website www.uk.i-liveradio.com. Obviously, this conversation, this interview is regarding emotional intelligence, and Miss Jacqueline A. Hinds is my guest. Today has been very informative.
Thank you.
Because we're not aware of a lot of things that are happening around us. We And because we're not aware, it makes us feel a certain way because we don't know what we're dealing with. And because we don't know what we're dealing with, we tend to think we're the problem.
Yes, and also in certain situations, the others make you feel as if you're the problem.
Indeed.
But when you step outside of it and start to look in, that's when you see where the blockers are, where the gatekeeping takes place, and where you have been marginalized, excluded.
Yes.
Victimized, all of them, because I call bullying harassment is one thing, but it's got its ugly colored cousins and relatives.
Indeed.
That feed into it as well.
Yeah.
And it all stems from jealousy, a form of jealousy, which is a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
It's quite sad that, with having this discussion and I'm sitting here and I can think of scenarios, and anyone listening to this interview today will be able to relate to what you're saying and understand that we're all victims of these things.
Oh, yeah.
And some of us push it under the carpet. Some of us get emotional about it. Some of us deal with it in the wrong way because we're not aware of how to deal with things.
Absolutely. And it's finding that space to find the right people to support. But also you have to look at the cultural aspects as well, because there's a young lady that I'm coaching at the moment, and her culture is get your head down, don't make any waves. Yeah. But she's suffering.
Yeah.
She's suffering, and now she's at a point where she's so empowered. She's gone back and she said to her mum, look, I know this is what we normally do, but I can't do it
anymore
because I felt fractured and I feel better now,
yeah.
and I'm going to continue feeling better.
Yeah.
So why would you stay in a situation that will continually drain you? Yeah.
It's not healthy.
Break you,
yeah.
to keep you.
And has broken you.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's keeping you down.
That's it. So feeling the empowerment and feeling the right avenue that you can go down and the right people. And I would say to anyone, if you're feeling bullied or harassed, find somebody who you trust.
Yes.
And more often than not, it's not inside, it's outside.
Yeah, and so it could be a total stranger.
It could be a total stranger. And this is one of the reasons why, I wrote the book, because I wanted to get my journey out there. But B, the training that comes with it and the coaching, it's the steps that individuals need to take to actually take time for themselves, reflect, and then take the emotion out of whatever they're doing as they go forwards.
Yeah.
And that will give them part of their healing as well.
I'm going to ask you to just share some final thoughts and words with the listeners.
Right, okay. Final thoughts and words. Each of us have a journey to take, and it's a lonely road when you're in a situation where you feel that you've been, denied things. Find a platform, find a network, find connections where you feel elevated, empowered, and be able to do what you want to do. Don't let anybody take away your goals, your aspirations, because you are more and can do more than you actually think you can. Mm-hmm. You just need the right people around you and the right development and support. So I would say find them.
Excellent. So that's Mrs. Hinds' final thoughts and words. So if that enhances you and that makes you feel like you would like to reach out to Miss Hinds, once again, her website is www.wilsonhindsconsulting.com. If you wish to connect with iLive or through Talks Honest, it's www.uk.-liveradio.com. If you wish to connect with myself, Mandy, Miss Law, on my Facebook, it's Talks Honest. On Twitter, it's @Talks Honest Show, and Instagram, Talks Honest. Is there anywhere else that we connect with you? Your LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn as well, so it's Jacqueline A Hinds. You can connect with me on there, on my website, on Twitter @ReleasingYou. I've also got an Instagram account, which is at SOEIUK.
Excellent. And your book, once again, can be obtained where?
Right. My book can be obtained from Amazon, but you'll have a long wait for it. But you can get it directly from my website, www.wilsonhindsconsulting.com. And it's called Journey to Empowerment, Tackling the Bullies Within.
Excellent. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Hinds for joining me on today's interview. It has been awesome. Once again, the subject was emotional intelligence, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Miss Law. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
What if we spoke honestly? 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 What if we spoke honestly?